Hello, welcome to Have a Go, and I'm Alan. Today we're going to put a centre in the end of this, and hopefully that'll mean I'll be able to turn this on the lathe and face off the end here. But before we can do any of that, I need to take the arbor out and put the centre on it. Now I'll put it taken out, put it back in. The reason I did that is so that I can mark just what the deepest point is when it's in. So this mark here is where it rests against there. So I'm going to put a centre on it and then make this a bit shallower on this particular end so that as I bring the cutting tool in, it's not going to hit this and have to stop. How am I going to do this? This is a smooth surface on the shaft, so I'm hoping it'll go better than I usually get. It's really easy to lose track of these things. I think that's about got it. Bring forth the tailstock. Actually, pull back the tailstock and put in the drill truck first. I haven't quite reached the point of that being blasé yet, so I'm still quite pleased with myself. Put a little bit of oil in there so it doesn't rip itself to pieces. It's a pretty nice set to cut, and I'm honestly impressed at how much adding in the tailstock helps. I'm not impressed on the other hand with the amount of wobble in this sodding thing. I think I may need to rebuild the whole sodding carriage at some point. I am super happy. This is a bit of the swarf that came off. No damage to the tip of the dead centre. Hardened, and I used oil, but it's still nice to see. Yes, that's the result of this morning's work. And this will mount onto the end of the ram cap, as I shall show you in a second. Like so. I need to measure the height from the bottom to the centre, and I need to take that height and transfer it to here and drill another centre hole right in the centre. Well, there's no point at all to trying to measure it on this bench. You know how rough and crap it is. So we'll go to the last word on precision, the surface plate. 44.5 I'm reading. So now I need to mark out 44.5 on this. 20mm wide, and I want 10. can I hold this over this? Yeah, that's square. That was easy. You spend more time in setup than actually doing things, or maybe it's just me. Question for the people in the audience who know what they're doing: is it normal for setup time to take longer than actually doing it? Right, speaking of setup, I need to take the four-jaw chuck off and put the faceplate back on. One, because the four-jaw probably can't hold the end of the ram like I'd like it to, and two, because I'm going to need all the space I can get, and the four-jaw just uses up too much of it. I'm going to have to move the lathe spindle out further. I thought I might have to do that, I was hoping I wouldn't. I won't clamp it all down just yet because I don't know how much space I have to play with. I'm actually glad I still have this temporary spindle on now, because if I had the permanent spindle on the lathe, I don't know what I would have done to get that extra bit of stick out. For once I want stick out. That goes there. That goes there, and I clamp this down. As for this lathe dog, I'm going to need longer bolts, I think. Okay, looks like I'm in for a trip to the hardware store for another M8x90 bolt. Just been to the hardware store, I got the bolt I need. I think I'm going to pull this headstock back and extend the ram, and this will lock it. Slowest speed first, I think. I'm putting some counterweight on the other side. It's not great, but it's better. Last touch before I try my first cut. You may recall the carriage lock used a bolt that I had to do up. Upgrade. Just took my work tunes earmuffs off because I want to be able to pay attention to this. I wish I knew what was making that clicking sound. Progress is being made. I forgot to do the compound swivel back up because this has me extremely worried. This should be a lot more rigid now. Let's make sure it clears it. The ram cap is just about completely faced off, so now I just need to bring the level down to the level of the ram itself. Yeah, I thought so. I heard a distinct sound change when I started hitting the aluminium shim stock. Shouldn't be long now before I'm hitting the ram, and then I can start doing the whole travel Yep, I'm starting to touch off on the ram there. Start going to 1/8 of a turn rather than a quarter turn, I think. A little bit more on there. Yep, it's starting to face the ram itself as well, so hopefully it shouldn't be too much more, because this is terrifying. I'd call that done. That was terrifying. Undo the lock element. But this is the end result. A nice flat surface for the protractor disc for the tool head to face against. So now when I do mount that, it'll be flat against there instead of an uneven surface. But man, oh man, that was terrifying. So shiny, it's hard to get a good... Now to tear down this setup. And that was with the counterweight. Before the counterweight, the shaking was even worse. And this is on the lowest speed I have. It was terrifying. Probably the first time I ever wished I had some lead weights. Because normally when I want weights I'll use one of my spare vices, but I obviously can't screw the vice onto the faceplate. Oh, that was terrifying. I'm very, very glad that I got that little hand wheel bolt for the carriage lock though, because without that it would have been even worse than it was. Give it a clean with the rag because it has earned it. No damage at all to it either, even after all that heavy turning. Yes, that's that. So now I can screw the ways back onto this and not have to worry about taking them off again.